Hello students, welcome to La Excellence IAS KALAM program Season 2 Episode 5. This is a GS Mains answer writing series. I am Kiranmai and I will be doing this Season 2 of this series. This season is going to last 50 episodes. I hope you are all safe, staying at home, continuing your preparation. I urge you all to be responsible. Educate your other family members about the severity of the disease, about the importance of social distancing, and also the need for staying at home, not going out unless absolutely necessary. There is a perception among many young adults that they have good immunity and hence they need not fear the disease and they are going out every time. But the fact is that these people can act as transmitters even before they know that they are infected. Thus, they are not only risking the lives of their family members, they are also risking the lives of all the members who are vulnerable. So, I take this opportunity to request all of you to behave responsibly and spread the message to all using social media platforms, etc. Let us see today's question. Balancing between the fighting of the present health crisis and the future economic crisis is the need of the hour for the Indian government. Discuss. This question is from GS paper 2, from the governance part and from the topic of issues relating to health. This question is carrying 10 marks and we have to write the answer in 150 words. So this question says that we currently have a health crisis and there could be a future economic crisis, and that balancing both the crisis is the need of the hour of the government. Okay, so he's asking us to discuss this. Let us see the context in which the question is being asked. See, we have just discussed about the importance of the lockdown that most states are executing. In this context, there are apprehensions raised that Indian economy, which was already going through a phase of slowdown, will be badly affected by the lockdowns, shutting down of the borders, banning all economic activity in public places except essential services like healthcare, policing services, food supplies, and general administrative departments which are critical. Okay, other than this, all the activities are being banned in the public places. So what happens due to these lockdowns? There are many factories, institutions, hostels, malls, offices, all have been closed. Though some of them have been asked to give employees the option of work from home, this doesn't warrant full-scale activity and hence economy as a whole is bound to suffer in the coming days. Further, the workers in the unorganized sector may lose jobs in this critical juncture. They may lose their income source. They may suffer starvation. They may suffer lack of social security. All these due to closure of administrative machinery. So in this context, this question has been asked. Let us now see the prerequisites required to answer this question. So one should have a background knowledge of what is COVID-19. Okay, what is its infectivity? Why is it so infective that such lockdown measures are being taken? For example, I'm going to tell you here about the concept of reproductive number of coronavirus. Reproductive number refers to the number of secondary infections generated from one infected individual. For example, one person who is infected has a chance of infecting 2 to 2.5 more persons. Okay, this is known as the reproductive number. And for coronavirus, it is between 2 and 2.5. It is higher than that of general influenza. Okay, so such concepts will add value addition to our answer. Apart from this, you also need to know concepts like asymptomatic transmission. That is, the patient, even before he is showing the signs and symptoms of the disease, he is transmitting the infection. And that is why even healthy people are asked to stay at home. Okay, and the third thing, high mortality rate. Okay, when compared to influenza, coronavirus has got a high mortality rate. That is why there is such a hue and cry. Then, second important prerequisites which may be needed to answer this question is WHO recommendations on how to control the disease, and WHO has recommended social distancing as an important factor for prevention of the disease or for controlling the disease. One also needs to know which phase India is in. So you all know that coronavirus is passing through different phases, and we are currently in the local transmission stage, and we have to prevent it from going to the community transmission stage, because it would be unimaginable if India goes to this stage given the high density of population that we have got and high number of people that we have got in our country. Okay, And fourth prerequisite would be what would be the economic impact of the shutdowns and the precautionary measures that the government is taking to control the coronavirus. We should know what sectors would be affected, how the employees are going to lose their job opportunities, and how informal sector is going to be affected more, and how the entrepreneurs are going to be affected. So all these background information we have to have before attempting this question. Let us now see how to answer this question. The answer will be dealt in 3 parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. In introduction, we can write about the context, that is about COVID-19, its cause, its origin, and the severity of the disease or its risk for India or the high mortality. So you can write any fact which you know about the disease in the context. For example, Italy overtaking China in the number of mortalities. Or you can also use any fact like the total number of cases, more than 3 lakh cases so far, total number of deaths. So all these can be written in introduction, but any one, okay? Don't write everything in the introduction. Introduction has to be short and succinct, okay? Then body. So what would you be writing in the body part? See, here he has given that balancing between fighting the present health crisis and future economic crisis is needed. So I would try to attempt this answer by writing about the measures that are being taken to fight the health crisis despite their impact on the economy. Okay, so I would be mentioning what all measures are being taken to control the health crisis despite their having an impact on economy, and why these measures are being taken. So I will mention all these asymptomatic transmission and high mortality. I will give them in the answer so as to give value addition to my answer. After writing this, I will write about how economy is going to get affected, what are the sectors that will be affected, what measures can be taken by the government, while at the same time furthering the preventive measures. So measures have to be taken by the government so that economic crisis could be avoided. At the same time, the preventive measures should not be stopped. So in that way, my answer will go in the body part. Then in conclusion, because in the question he has asked about balancing, I would try to use the word balancing in my answer also with an optimism. See, always what is expected of an administrator? We are expected to give a solution. We should not be just problem mongers. Okay, so optimism is expected of an administrator, and hence I would write that we should presently focus on the health crisis, and we should also at the same time try to give boost to the sectors that got affected as soon as that crisis is over. Okay, we can also use some quotes like demographic dividend can turn into demographic disaster if the community spread of the disease occurs. Okay, highlighting the importance of fighting the healthcare crisis at the present juncture. Hence, as immediate measure, we have to focus on health while trying in whatever possible ways to restore the economy. That would be an optimistic conclusion. Okay, let us now see one of the sample answers. He writes, India is at a risk of dual crisis. One is the healthcare crisis due to COVID-19 infection, and the second one is economic crisis due to the lockdowns aggravating the already precarious economy. So here in the introduction, he's trying to tell about the context in which the question is being asked. That is, healthcare crisis is there, and also we are going to go through an economic crisis due to the lockdowns. So that he is mentioning in the introduction. It is a short introduction. Let us see what he writes further. Need for lockdowns to contain COVID-19. So he's writing, COVID-19 is an infectious disease that is capable of rapid spread owing to asymptomatic transmission. So this is one keyword that he has used in the body part. Okay, so he's telling about the asymptomatic transmission potential of COVID-19, which is quite important. It is important reason why lockdowns are being done. Then he writes, WHO recommends social distancing as a measure to break the chain of transmission in the community. Okay, so he is using another keyword called social distancing. Then he writes, learning lessons from countries like Italy and USA, which have robust healthcare systems yet fail to contain the spread, state governments all over India called for mandatory lockdown of states, shutdown of borders, closure of all economic activity. So, closure of all economic activity in public places barring the essential services. So, he's trying to mention why these measures of lockdowns have been taken in the first part. Okay, so he's telling the importance of the lockdown measures in the first part here. Okay, let us see what he writes in the second part. Here he has drawn a small flow chart in which he has written already slowed growth of Indian economy, and shutdowns and lockdowns here are leading to further slowing down of growth, and it could have effects on employees and entrepreneurs. So what are the effects on employees? Daily wage workers, migrant workers, street vendors, that is the unorganized sector, is going to be worst affected. And here he is mentioning about the entrepreneurs, that is because of shutdown of factories, institutes, firms, shops, etc. These entrepreneurs are getting affected. Okay, so he's drawn a small flow chart to describe, and then he further writes in each of the subpoints. Here he writes need immediate support through social security measures like food, health services, monetary support, etc. So here he is writing about the measures that government has to take. Okay, measures that government has to take to support the unorganized sector as well as all those employees who lost their jobs or who are suffering income losses. Okay, and here in the entrepreneurs section he has written need measures to support them once shutdowns are lifted. He just said that measures to support them are needed. Okay, so in this part he is talking about the measures. Next he writes government must try hard to balance the measures taken to prevent the spread of the disease and the measures to support the poor and affected in critical economic times. So he is just trying to rewrite what is given in the question. That is, government must try hard to balance the measures taken to prevent the spread of the disease and measures to support the poor and affected in critical economic times. However, I can say that it is an optimistic conclusion. Okay, this is a conclusion and it is optimistic. Okay, it could have been better if there was usage of any quote like I told you while discussing the model answer. Okay, however, this conclusion is optimistic. It could have been little better. Okay, so let us evaluate the answer as a whole. He has written a short introduction mentioning the context, and then he has written about the need for lockdowns to contain the disease, that is why such lockdowns are being done despite their having an impact on economy. So he has mentioned that, and then in the second part of the body he has mentioned about what is the impact on the economy and what measures are to be taken by the government. And then he wrote a small conclusion. Okay, this is a decent answer. It could have been better and more holistic. We have come to the end of the discussion. We have discussed a question from GS paper 2 from the governance part, and we have discussed how to approach the question, what are the prerequisites required to answer this question, what is the context in which the question is being asked, how to approach it with respect to introduction, body and conclusion. We have also discussed a sample answer. Okay, let us meet again tomorrow. Thank you. Have a safe time.